What's going on, everybody? As y'all see in the title, today we're here to talk about the best hotels, the top hotels in Las Vegas, with the focal point of the Las Vegas Strip, because of course majority of people are coming to Vegas to stay on the Strip. For 2025, we're gonna talk about these top hotels, and this year I got 6 hotels for y'all, because when I was putting my list together, I got a little indecisive. I couldn't make up my mind for certain stuff, but y'all know I gotta be unbiased, so I needed to throw an extra hotel on here to try to, I guess, get my point across. Now, when we talk about hotels, the thing that make the Strip so incredible and so hard to deal with at times is there's so many different options. You know, the more options you have, you would think it's a good thing, but it can be a headache, because you got hotels like Mandalay Bay. It's a victim of location because it's at the very end of the south end of the Strip. Perfect if you're trying to go to Raiders games or see stuff at Allegiant Stadium. Sleeper rooms, got a nice lounge, good dining options. Y'all know about Planet Hollywood. That's the most underrated hotel on the Strip, in my opinion, and a lot of other Vegas travelers' opinion, with the different things they got there. The Bellagio. Now, y'all know I'll be indifferent about the Bellagio depending on what we talking about, but it's a staple of Vegas. The fountain show will never get old to some people, super old to others. And then you got Resorts World, where some people are giving them knocks because they're not making money, but I think the property is phenomenal. All 3 of their towers are sleepers, especially for the price that you can get. But there's one thing when it comes to Vegas, is that there's a lot of things that are in common, and just like these hotels that I just named, they didn't make my top 25 list. So with that being said, let me go ahead and start with my honorable mentions, because I do got my 6 best hotels for y'all. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about each hotel, and then at the very end I will rank my top 6 from 6 to 1, just to switch it up this year. Now, when we start with honorable mentions, the one thing I tell everybody all the time is that if you can check into a hotel, it's his own hotel. Starting with hotels, my honorable mention number 1 is Palazzo. For the longest time, I always said Palazzo is where I would stay, Venetian is where I would play. And to a degree, I still feel like that, but that's kind of shifted a lot, especially since Venetian's recently done some renovations and some other updates around the property. But some of the folks in my community call it Plush Gardens, because it is truly a plush property. The Electro Lounge there is fire. Y'all know about Lavo. It's a lot of things going on at Palazzo that make it a very nice property, but it's not going to crack my top 6. My next honorable mention is Encore. Now, I don't really got to say much about Encore. The best day club in Vegas is at Encore. It's a luxury property, but it still don't crack the top 6 when you take everything into account overall that I'm going to talk about in this video. But it is an honorable mention because it's close. It's up there, but it's not top 6. And then my last honorable mention is a personal favorite of mine. We got to talk about Vdara. You know, it's a resort at Aria, so I tell y'all, same resort or same land, different properties. Love Vdara, and I don't know why people keep bringing their kids to Vegas. In 2025, I will say probably I have seen the most kid traffic as far as foot traffic in Vegas. On that notion, for people who are gonna bring their kids to Vegas, in a way I don't even want to say this, but I gotta be real and unbiased with y'all. Vdara is a property that I would probably recommend for parents who got to bring their kids, or for families. It's a small property, so you don't got to worry about the rugrats running all over the place trying to chase them through a casino, or dealing with a whole bunch of half-naked people moving through the casinos and smoking, all of that. But that's a super sleeper property. It still is one of the most underrated hotels, I think, in my opinion. Those are my honorable mentions: Palazzo, Encore, Vdara. Hotels that did not make my top 6 list, but are hotels that I would definitely recommend for y'all to stay at. Now, before we get into this top 6 list, now y'all brace yourself, because this 6 is gonna get crazy. I forgot to put this in the video. I just realized while editing. I just wanted to throw it here real quick. My top hotel for downtown, because this list is gonna be centered on the Strip. Circa's my go-to downtown, and I'm pretty sure that's everybody's favorite hotel downtown, but Circa is goated downtown. That's my top spot. And then for hotels off the Strip, Palms is my top spot as well. You can throw Palms Casino Resort or Palms Place. The Casino Resort got more overall, so that's gonna be the top spot. But Palms is my off Strip, and Circa is my downtown spot. And now we are actually going to shift gears and get to my top 6 hotels. Now, in no particular order, I'm gonna name the hotels that I have in my top 6. So let's go ahead and start with Venetian. Now, I just dropped a video a month or so ago about Venetian being a very underrated property, the Venetian Ignore video. Y'all go check that out if y'all haven't, because in 2025 it's still a sleeper property. It reminds me of like independent rappers. Y'all know rappers that are signed to major deals, or like people who are not signed to big corporations. They don't get that same marketing and that same promo. That's how I look at Venetian. They under the Grazi Rewards program, so they moving independent. They don't got that MGM or that Caesars push, but it's a ridiculous gym. They got renovated rooms. The towers are super nice. Everything is super clean. All suite property. I just dropped the whole video, so I'm not gonna repeat all of that stuff again. Y'all go check that out. The second hotel I'm going to talk about on this list is Caesars Palace. Now, Caesars Palace is an icon. We already know. I don't have to say a whole lot about Caesars Palace. They have the best club in Vegas at the hotel. They've got 6 different towers. If you want to include Nobu, I don't like including Nobu because it's its own hotel again, because you can check in directly there. But some people like to include Nobu. They just finished renovating the Coliseum Tower, which was the old Forum Tower, in 2023. So all of their rooms have some type of update. The Augustus Octavius towers are probably going to be the next ones in line to get a facelift. And Caesars Palace, as I get to the end of this video, is a reason why I extended this list to 6, because I got so many mixed feelings about Caesars, but I definitely got to give them their nod because people love them as the best or second best theme hotel on the strip. Next up, I have the Wynn. Now, I mean, I don't really got to beat a dead horse with the Wynn. Y'all know Wynn might be the most luxurious hotel on the Las Vegas Strip and all of Las Vegas. It is true prestige. The millionaires, the billionaires, this where they trying to parlay. The Summer League was just out here. F1, whenever there's any big money coming to Vegas or all of the big networking for people who got that money, who flying in on private jets, they stand at the Wynn. They recently renovated some of their rooms, so they've got an update on some of their rooms as well. But I mean, Wynn is just the true definition of luxury. They got a phenomenal buffet with a lot of different dining options, so I gotta have Wynn on my best hotels list for sure. Next, I've got Aria. Aria is another one of those properties that are gonna make their way on this list probably year by year also until they fall off. They're actually have done some renovations in their Sky Suites. They started doing renovations in the Tower Suites. Also a luxury property, one of my personal favorites, but it's a favorite to a lot of people between their dining and the location and the different amenities that you have at Aria. Aria is truly a special property. It's a place I constantly recommend to people. So I've got Aria on my top hotel list as well. And then after Aria, we've got what I call Cosmo 2.0 Fontainebleau, however you want to pronounce it. Fontainebleau is going to make the list this year. I told y'all last year, the hotel's got to be open for at least a year so I can see what the buzz, how the movement, how the foot traffic is going. And without a doubt, Fontainebleau is Cosmo 2.0. It is the newest hotel on the Las Vegas Strip. It is an absolutely beautiful property. There are so many fire amenities. It's expensive as hell to gamble there. Let's not get that misunderstood. And they're truly a victim of location. That's the biggest thing you're going to say no to about Fontainebleau is their location. But I've got a lot of cases that I'm going to make this year, which is why I've got them on my list. And it's definitely a place everybody should stay. I absolutely had to add them to this list for sure. And then last but not least, I've got the Cosmopolitan. And y'all know Cosmo is going to be on this list until they dismantle, man. There's just so many things you can talk about Cosmo. Just like I said, people who got money stay at Wynn. They also stand at Cosmo. A lot of celebrities love Cosmo. A lot of influencers love Cosmo. When there's events, this is just one of those hubs that people stay at. So if you've got all of the people with money and all of the people with power wanting to stay somewhere, they're staying there for a reason, which of course is why it makes the top list. Now that we know which hotels I'm talking about, we've got Venetian, we've got Caesars Palace, we've got the Wynn, we've got Aria, Fontainebleau, and we've got Cosmo. Now I'm going to rank my hotels from 6 to 1. And I'm going to talk about why I ranked them. So y'all not asking exactly why. So number 6 on my list, we have Caesars Palace. Now, like I said, I made this list 6 hotels this year because between 6, 5, and 4, I was kind of going back and forth on how I wanted to rank them this year. So we're going to talk about it. So number 6, I've got Caesars Palace. And the reason I have Caesars Palace at number 6 is because it is a very nice hotel. It is in the luxury category. It is Caesars' best hotel on their portfolio. They've got 5 towers, variety of different dining options. They've got a food hall. Not unlike a lot of places, they do have 24-hour eats with a cafe Americano. So if you need somewhere to eat 24/7, they do have a property on site. So there's a lot of different things you can make about Caesars Palace. Like I said, Omni is the best club in Vegas at Caesars Palace for sure. But this is where I had to drop some points to them. They did renovate the Coliseum Tower. That old Forum Tower needed a facelift like 15 years ago. So they finally did that, and the Coliseum Tower rooms are really, really nice. I like them. 2 thumbs up. They do need to touch up the Augustus and Octavius towers. You do get a lot of benefits with those towers because their base room are very spacious. You get a jacuzzi tub and a walk-in shower with a water closet. All of the things you should get in a luxury hotel, you get that with those towers. But they could be updated. But my biggest issue with Caesars Palace is the hotel is too big, man. And it can be very inconvenient when you're trying to travel. So if you've stayed at Caesars Palace, you're well aware that The hotel check-in versus where rideshare pickup is completely out of the way. Trying to get the rideshare, trying to get to your room, and then if you're leaving like the Palace Tower or the Octavius Tower, even the Augustus Tower. I have a whole video on Caesar's Palace on where the towers are, so that'll make more sense. Y'all can check that video out. But the location for some of these towers, trying to get to the strip, that's a negative to a lot of people. I had to put them at 6. Y'all can comment below if y'all disagree. Now at number 5 on this list, and I'm gonna tell y'all right now, number 5 on the list, I have Fontainebleau. The only reason that I'm putting Fontainebleau at the 5 spot is because of its location. Literally, the only negative, well, not the only, the biggest negative. The biggest negative that I have for Fontainebleau is its location because of how north it is on the strip. I've actually stayed here before. I've been around the property a couple times. I've even done an experiment on if you stay here for a night, what you can do in the surrounding areas. And when you take how people travel with Vegas overall, staying at Fontainebleau for a duration of a trip will start to become an inconvenience, just as I was talking about with Caesar's Palace, because of its location. Now, the ride share at Fontainebleau is the other knock I'm going to give to, because their ride share going from their tower through the hotel entrance, that's a walk as well, but it's further than the ride share is at Caesar's Palace. So if you stayed at Fontainebleau, y'all know what the hike can be going from your hotel room to the ride share. Aside from its location, it is truly pristine. The food hall is delicious. The other dining options are delicious. They've got Live Beach, which has been one of the top pool parties in Vegas this year. And they have Live Nightclub, which has been a top nightclub in Vegas. The rooms and suites are absolutely beautiful. People love it. And then the pricing that you get to stay here is the pro to its super con of the negative location. You can get very good rates here at Fontainebleau. The casino is a 5-star property, so just like every hotel on this list, the minimums are going to be $25 and $50, but that's just what you get at a luxury property. That's why they say you get what you pay for. And when you stay at Fontainebleau, in my opinion, for some of the room rates that you get, you really get a steal for real. Overall property, when you take in the rooms, when you take in the gambling, when you take in the nightlife and the day clubs, when you take in the eats, all of this stuff, overall, to me, I see it as a better value and a better property than Caesar's Palace, so I have them at the 5 spot, and I will probably move them over the 4 spot if their location was better. But that's why I have Fontainebleau at number 5. Now, as we were talking about the 4 spot, my 4 spot, I have Aria. Now, I love Aria. I think Aria, in a lot of ways, to some degree, can be underrated, but I think a number of people have started staying at Aria more, where it's getting more recognition. Before, a couple years ago, they had the whole hate train about how the hotel had so many issues, how the hotel was dirty and all of this. And of course, those myths have been debunked because people just want clout on social media and don't keep it real. And that's why we keep it real around here. Aria is absolutely luxury. The one thing that people would tell you about Aria, as soon as you walk in the hotel, you know where you at. You can be blindfolded and you know at Aria because they got that distinctive scent. The fact that their hotel is not so massive, and I didn't say this about Fontainebleau either. Fontainebleau is a smaller hotel, which for a lot of people is super convenient because you can get to where you need to get to and then you can get out. Same thing with Aria. I believe that's something we don't talk about a lot when it comes to the hotels, is the size of the hotel and trying to get in and get out, especially when you want to get to the strip and enjoy the strip. And then when you've been out on the strip and you're trying to get back to your room to get changed and then get active, like that plays a big factor. They've got a lot of dining options. They also have Liquid, which is a day club. It's not one of the top day clubs, but it's somewhere that is good for people who want to go out and have a day party, but it's not super packed like a crowd. So it's a sleeper in a way. But then you've also got Jewel, which is a top nightclub as well, second best hip hop club. And then their minimums are the same, 25, 50 for the most part. During the week, you might catch a couple 15 tables, but it's not long. A lot of people who love to play poker, love the poker room here at Aria. They have a number of tournaments as well. And it's right there, center strip. So Aria at the 4th spot, I've got them slightly over Fontainebleau for sure because of their locations, but the Sky Suites Tower at Aria is something I don't think a lot of people talk about, and a lot of people seem to forget. That Sky Suites Tower is a special luxury tower at Aria, and to me, that is going to be a wild card that they have when you look at that property overall. Now, we're going to get to the top 3. Now, honestly, I've kind of been back and forth with 3 and 2, and even to a degree with 1, but I'm going to keep them as they are for now. Number 3, I've got Venetian. And I'm gonna say I've got Venetian at 3 over 2 slightly. I talked about it earlier in the video, all of the renovations that they've done at Venetian. It's a very popular property, but it's still underrated. Everybody know about Venetian, but it doesn't seem like a lot of people stay at Venetian. And again, the reality is most people spend their money with the MGM properties because of the access to the casinos outside of Vegas. Same thing with Caesars Palace. Most people have more access to Caesars Casino outside of Vegas. So when you look at the rewards programs and the benefits you get for being members, it makes sense why most people spend their time and money at these properties in Vegas. But for those who are willing to explore luxury, who want to stay at something nice, Venetian for sure is a sleeper. Now, when we talk about theme hotels, I personally could care less about theme hotels, but I know it's something that draws a lot of people's attention, especially for first timers or people who just like to walk the strip and be wowed away by the eye candy. And in my opinion, I think Venetian is the best themed hotel. I know some people say it's Caesars Palace. I will put Caesars at 2 behind Venetian. I think the theme of Venetian is just incredible. Now, with it being an all-suite hotel, every room is a suite. And when it comes to bachelor and bachelorette parties, even if you talk about families, like I think in any situation where you're going to Vegas, Venetian is a perfect hotel because it's an all-suite hotel. So even their base suite, the fact that you get a sunken living room, you automatically get 2 beds. And that's something that a lot of hotels can't say that. Every room you'll have, you can either have 2 or 3 beds without having to get a rollaway bed. I think that's a super sleeper. But that sunken living room makes the room feel like 2 rooms in one. So that's a big reason why I have them at the 3 spot. When you take in the dining, when you take in the day club, they've got Tao Beach, which is one of the top day clubs in Vegas. They've got Tao Nightclub, which is one of the top nightclubs. And then Tao itself is a restaurant. So between the day clubs, the nightclub, and dining, you've got one venue that's a 3-in-1. They've got a phenomenal pool complex. And then, as I talked about in the honorable mention, if you want to get the Palazzo, there's a walkway so you don't even have to go outside if you want to expand and do other things on a resort. The gondola's popular. Again, I could go all day on about Venetian, but I've got them at the 3 spot. And to some degree, it could be debated with number 2, which I'm about to get to right now, because number 2 I have on the list is the Wynn. Now, I have Wynn at the 2 spot. The reason I have Wynn at the 2 spot is because you have to take luxury into account, because the people who go to Vegas and want a luxury experience and want to feel like they're somewhere special, as much as I love Venetian, and when you go into Venetian, you definitely feel like you're somewhere in another place. Like it's very close to how it is over in Italy when you talk about the theme. The Wynn is just special, man. When you talk about luxury, I would say that the Wynn may be the most luxurious hotel in Vegas, debatable with Fontainebleau. But it's true luxury. The highest of the high are staying at the Wynn, because when you talk about money, you talk about spending big money in Vegas, you're staying at the Wynn. One reason a lot of people don't even stay at the Wynn, they also are independent property. They've got their own rewards. But one big reason people don't stay at the Wynn is because of the price. I'm pretty sure majority of the people watching this video right now, if you've never stayed at the Wynn, it's because it costs too much to stay there. I'm not paying the price to stay at the Wynn because, as nice as it is, I feel like you can get more value overall with some of these other hotels on this list, especially when you talk about its location. The celebrities and anyone who stayed at the Wynn, you know, is luxury. So the price for their rooms is valid, especially when you look at everything you get at the hotel. They've got a phenomenal buffet. They've got some of the best restaurants on the strip, SW Steakhouse. They've got the Fountain of Dreams. And then when you look at the base rooms, I was talking about the Venetian. They're 620 square feet for their base rooms. But when you look at the base rooms at the Wynn, it's 640 square feet. So the layouts at the suite of the Venetian do make the room feel bigger, and it does give you more space to move around, which I really do like. But when you talk about the square footage, both of those base rooms have floor-to-ceiling windows. The technology is a step above the technology in the Venetian. You know, they've got the motorized panels and then the dimmers and the lights all through that. So I've got to give them the edge for the luxury, the quality, and the overall experience. Because if you stay at Venetian, my goodness, you're gonna love it. But if you stay at the Wynn, you definitely know you're staying with money. So I've got them at the 2 spot for my top hotels list. And then number 1, the best hotel in Vegas on the strip, again, in my opinion, which in the next couple of years we'll see how this shifts, I've got the Cosmopolitan. Now, I have Cosmo at the top spot for the same reason I've had for the last few years. It's just, number 1, when you look at the rooms and suites, everyone loves the balcony. Everybody loves the strip view. So when we talk about rooms and suites and people are paying to stay somewhere nice, this is going to be one of the pinnacles of places that you can stay, because you just get an amenity that you can't get at any of these other hotels. A wraparound balcony or a balcony with a strip view, that's something that people are willing to pay a premium for. And when I look at the Wynn, that is something that I take into account. You know, the price to stay at the Wynn, again, it is luxury and it's a very nice experience for sure. I've stayed there, absolutely loved it. But when you stay at the Cosmo, you also get that luxury experience. You also get that luxury feel. There isn't a price that you can put on peace, and the feeling you get when you open those doors and you walk out to that balcony, even if it's just a strip view and it's not the actual fountain view, it's just something that words can't put into place walking into that balcony. Now, that's always my starting point, because when you're staying at a hotel, the very first thing you do is check in and go to your room, and that's going to set off your experience. So when I always listen to people talk about rooms aren't that big of a deal or rooms don't matter, they do matter. And I wish people would stop lying to themselves. Otherwise, everybody would be staying at the Motel 6. Everybody would be at Travelodge. They would be at Serene, one of them properties off the strip. They would go stay at Circus. So I just really find it comical at this point. But that's the very first experience you have when you go to Vegas, is your check-in experience. Now, I didn't even talk about the check-in experiences, but the pillars at the Cosmo, they already set a tone, the graphic 3D that you get. Even at the Wynn, you've got the lighted gardens when you walk in. At Venetian, you see the big designs over the top of the hotel, like you see the whole theme. Aria, you walk through the door, you smell it. It's got a very nice display on the walk-in. Fontainebleau, as soon as you walk in, they've got their new bow tie and wide open field with the roses. And even at Caesar's Palace, you've got that big open area with the fountain in the center. So all of these hotels, when you walk into the check-in, it's going to hit you with some type of wow factor. But Cosmos is just completely different, because the graphic screen just sets a different tone and none of these other hotels will really give you. Now, that's your check-in process. When we talk about dining, they've got a variety of different dining options as well. Block 6 is a very popular food court with a lot of different options that food hall. Let me give them their respect. They're a food hall. But they've got a variety of different affordable eats for a lot of people. But then they've got Momofuku, which is a very popular restaurant. A lot of people know about STK, which is one of my favorite steakhouses in Vegas. So they have their fair share of phenomenal eats as well. Of course, the casino is like the casino, but it's another smaller hotel, which I think is very, very, very beneficial. As I've said throughout this video, like, the size of a hotel can play a factor, especially when you're trying to get in and get out. But unlike all of these other hotels, Cosmo has the best access to the strip. You literally walk out of the door from the casino and you're dead center strip, and you just can't beat that with any of these other hotels. Caesar's Palace, when you get out trying to get to the front strip, you got to walk to the sidewalk. You'll be over there by the promenade. Some people don't mind the promenade location. Aria, you've got to get through the crystal shops, but then you'll be right there on the bridge to be next to Cosmo, so you'll be center strip as well. But Cosmo has the best location to directly accessing the strip and then getting out of the strip, especially if you're staying in the Boulevard Tower. That is a blessing. If you know, you know. But when I take everything over into account, the chandelier bars, the chandelier 1.5, which you can access on the second level, there's so many different things that you get at the Cosmo that you can get at every other luxury hotel and some. But their selling point will always be the balcony, because at the end of the day, you just can't beat it. If you stayed at Cosmo, which I know a lot of people have started to have the Cosmo experience since they're under the MGM umbrella, so it's brought a lot of foot traffic, you just know how that feels. So those are my 6 top hotels in Vegas for 2025. I want y'all to comment below and share y'all feedback. I'm really, really curious to see what y'all thoughts are on this list. If you would rearrange the hotels, let me know where y'all would, because I know some of y'all probably would change the order of this list. If there's a hotel you would have actually taken off this list and put on the list, let me know. I'm definitely curious about that as well, because I am curious of specific to see what some people say about certain hotels, which I will leave for the comments to engage with y'all. But that's gonna do it for this video. If you all enjoyed the video, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll holler at y'all in the next video.